an excerpt from the book of Hadith Umar, the famous book Bahishti Zevar. And if there's any other questions, the best practical method is to consult the ulama, of course. Fasting is constituted by at least two things. Number one, there has to be an intention. There has to be an intention to fast, which is called niyat. And niyat is enough in our heart. So if we are sleeping at night, or if it's Ramadan going on and we have an intention that we will be fasting next day, that niyat is enough for a first fast. And the other thing is to stay away. Stay away from what? Stay away from eating and drinking. Anything shouldn't go down beyond our throat. If anything goes down in terms of food and liquids beyond our throat, then the fast is broken. And the other is that special relationship that one has with their spouse. For a first fast, which is of Ramadan only, if somebody is confused that if they will be able to fulfill their fast, if their condition is such, then ulama have written that they can wait until an hour before midday. What is midday? The azan app that we have, generally the Zohar time that it's showing, it is actually the midday time. So we should start Zohar at least 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes after that time. But that time, roughly an hour before that time, to be careful, we should make our intention. We can delay our intention of first fast till that point. But eating and intake of all fluids will have to be stopped at the normal time, which is at the time of dawn, before Fajr time starts. Fajr time starts at the time of Subh Sadiq, and which is a column of brightness that spreads horizontally over the horizon till the time of sunset. So some people take it lightly that it can be very exact, it can be very precise that at that very moment eating and drinking becomes prohibited for Sahri time. That's not true. The ulama give an example that just like when we start Salah, right after saying Allahu Akbar, now we can eat, we can talk, we can move. Similarly, right after the dawn, the moment dawn starts, eating becomes prohibited and drinking becomes prohibited. To be very careful, we should generally wait. We should keep a caution window of 3 to 4 minutes before that exact time, so that we don't run into any problems. It's a general misconception. I've heard it since my childhood that you can keep on eating till Hayya ala Salah. That's not true. Right at the beginning of the time of Azan, we have to stop eating and drinking. Similarly, after sunset, eating and drinking becomes allowed, and all the other prohibitions that were there because of fasting, they are gone. But the problem is that the sunset time, the exact sunset time, which is scientifically calculated, can be actually wrong, because Islam, the calculation, this is based on the visualization. So to start the month, we have to see the moon. To stop fasting, to end the month, we have to see the moon. To stop fasting, moon has to be set visibly. So sometimes because of refraction of light, scientific calculation may be saying that this is the sunset time, but sun can still be visible at the horizon. This has happened. This is first-hand experience for me as well. So we should take care to wait at least 3 to 4 minutes after the time that is given. During fasting, if somebody takes a shower just to cool off, it is perfectly permitted. It is proven from the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was seen taking shower to take away the hardship of fasting, to make it easy for him. If somebody makes wuzu, takes water in their mouth to make kulli, and the little wetness that remains, that is perfectly fine. We don't really have to make a conscious effort of spitting everything out, or some people go about spitting throughout the day because they are trying to be very careful. That wetness which is present in our mouth, if it goes down, it does not break or harm the fast at all. However, if something is spit out and then taken back in, be it food, be it mucus, any sort of wetness, then that will break the fast. If after closing the fast, somebody finds out that there is some food stuck between their teeth from what they had in the morning, it will have to be seen. Number one, if they take it out and actually see it, then they can't take it back in. If they take it back in, fast is broken and eat it. If they take it back in and engulf it, then gulp it down, then the fast is broken. If from within the mouth it is released, comes out loose from their teeth, and then they eat it, if that particle of food was bigger than the size of a chickpea, chana, then fast is broken. If it is smaller than that, for example, like a thread of meat or beef or whatever, then that does not break the fast. All kinds of injections are permitted during fasting. Blood testing for diabetic people is, or for all kinds of people, is permitted. Blood transfusion, if there is a need, is also permitted. However, ulama say that it is makruh, despised for a person to donate blood while they are fasting, because they can run into a situation where they become very weak and then have to break the fast. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all that. Bleeding breaks wuzu, but not fast. Vomiting, if comes of its own, then it does not break fast. If somebody on purpose induces a vomit by putting fingers in their mouth or something, then if it is more than a mouthful, then that kind of vomiting, which is more than a mouthful and is induced, it breaks the fast. Applying oil, removing hair from the face, making khat, or from any other part of the body, applying perfume, does not break the fast. Shaving is a very despised act. Making hair less than a fistful of length on your face is a very despised act, but it does not technically affect the fast. It is a major sin though. Miswak of all kinds is permitted and mustahab, actually preferred. Even if it has a natural flavor of its own, the tree has its flavor, the wood has its flavor, that's perfectly fine. Anything that has flavor, for example toothpaste, for example food, to put it even on the tongue or to take it into mouth is makruh tahrimi. It is makruh tahrimi, highly despised. It does not technically break the fast, but it comes very near to haram. Only situation that is permitted is that if we are that person who is a very angry person, then it becomes permissible for our wife to only taste the food by putting it only on their tongue and then spitting it out. If we see somebody who is eating or drinking water when they are fasting and we know that they are fasting, if they are a strong person and we understand that they are able to sustain their fast easily, then we should remind them. If we know that they are a weak person, then we should not remind them. It is a feat for them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Coming near to breaking the fast is also very despised. So in terms of eating and food, we told that, somebody tastes anything which has flavor, but then in the other regard, in terms of sexual relations, somebody even if tries to come close to that, it is highly despised. It is makruh tahrimi. Fasting is not needed for a sick person. Who's a sick person? Who's told who will die if they fast, or whose sickness will increase, will worsen if they fast. Who will determine this? A Muslim, knowledgeable physician, knowledgeable in terms of his practice or their knowledge of medicine and their basic knowledge of deen at least. That physician, if tells one that fasting will harm them, will worsen their situation, then that will relieve the person of fasting. Now there's two kinds of this kind of relief. Number one is if the sickness is temporary. If it will go away, then the person should fast whenever they can. They should make up for those fasts. It is called qada, one for one fast. One missed fast, the person will have to keep one fast in lieu of that. A person who's traveling more than 40 miles away for less than 15 days, staying at a place for less than 15 days, that constitutes traveler in terms of Sharia. They don't have to fast if they don't want to, and they will have to compensate later on, one fast for one. Women who are going through pregnancy or their periods or breastfeeding and that will make them weak, then they don't have to fast, but they will have to compensate as soon as they come out of that situation. If a person is very weak because of their old age, or somebody is in such a sickness that they cannot fast, there is no chance that they will ever be able to make up for their fast, Then Sharia has defined that they will have to give fidya. Fidya is 2 full meals of an adult male in lieu of one fast. So 2 full meals in lieu of one fast. So if somebody is leaving 30 fasts, they will have to give 60 meals altogether, and either give meal or the value, the cash value of grain that is needed for 1 full meal, 2 full meals. The other term that we should know is kafara. Kafara is something that if somebody intentionally breaks fast knowingly without a shari need. So all of these things that we have explained are shari needs. But if somebody intentionally breaks fast, fully knowing it and without there being a need, so somebody establishes that relationship or knowingly eats without there being a need, then they will have to compensate by kafara, which is 60 continuous fasts, and even if one is left, then they have to start again. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding of deen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين واغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. From tomorrow, inshallah, we'll start the book Virtue